So here we have, right here we have a number in base 10. And I've had the little 10 under there, and it says understood because normally we don't put the 10, we just write 123. And we know what that means because we've been using base 10 numbers since first grade, and we just understand. But if we were on the planet Thog, where people have 13 fingers on each hand, we wouldn't be using base 10. But way back in Mesopotamia or somewhere, probably actually India, people decided to use base 10. And it's easy for us because we have 10 fingers. But that doesn't mean that's the only system. So anyway, why am I going on this digression? Because to understand base 2 or base 16, you first need to understand the base that you're using, which is base 10. So we put the little 10 under there to show us that this is base 10. And what does base 10 mean? So on this side, you can see what I've written, which is basically, like I said, from your first, second, or third grade classes, where you learn that the 3 was actually in the ones column, and the 2 was in the tens column, and the 1 was in the hundreds column. So without the column, you wouldn't know how many, or you wouldn't know what thing you were talking about, how many of what you have. So you have 3 of the ones, and you have 2 of the tens, and you have 1 of the hundreds, right? So if I owed you $123, but I only gave you $6, you wouldn't be very happy because you would say, well, the 1 is in the hundreds column, so you owe me $100 here, not just $1. And this similarly is in the tens column, so you need to give. So if I gave you a 1, then 2 more 1s, and then another 3 more 1s, that would be $6. And I would be shorting you because I really have to give you a $100 bill, 2 $10 bills, and 3 $1 bills. You see what I mean? So the column tells you the denomination, if you will. Everybody understands money, so that's why I'm using money as an analogy. So again, here I'm showing you that you need 1 $100 bill, 2 $10 bills, and 1 $3 bill. And in our number system, that's denoted by where the number is when you write it. So any number that you write way out in the third column here is going to be in the hundreds. And the number here is going to be the 10, and the number here is the 1. We just know that, and we understand that, so we don't think about it. But right now we're trying to think about things much more carefully because we're going to change the base eventually. Now, when you take 100, how do we get the 100? We get that by counting over from 0. So we started at 0, and that was 10 to the 0, which is actually equal to 1. So you can go look that up. A lot of people get confused by that. But 10 to the 0 power, anything to the 0 power other than 0 is going to equal 1. Okay? So that's the ones column. And that's always the ones column, no matter what base you're using, because like I say, anything to 0 is going to be 1. So 1 is just, pretty basic primary number. So now in the tens column, you got that because you were over by 1 column, and you take your base and you make it to that power, and that gives you 10. And then if you move over another column, now you're in the 0, 1, 2 column, and if you raise your base to the second power, you get 100. Okay, so that's base 10 arithmetic, which is what we use every day, and you may not remember this, but this is what you learned in grade school. So now we're going to change the base and see what happens.